Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Topping our newscast tonight, the 2014 Carnival celebrations ended with a bang this weekend, and we're not talking just about the fireworks. It's the children's and adults parades that brought the party to the streets of Charlotte Amalie. If you weren't there, we have the highlights, but if you were there, let's look back at the parades with News 2's April Knight.
It didn't rain on their parade, but even if it did, these 2014 Carnival revelers would still be marching through downtown Charlotte Amalie. The little ones took to the streets Friday morning for the children's parade, and while the crowd could have been bigger, this didn't dampen their youthful spirit. Grand Marshal Alfred Chubby Lockhart was at the head of the action. Carnival Princess Shania Bacon rode right behind him, beaming to the crowd. Bacon wasn't the only royalty. Some elementary schools also sent their royal courts. The attires were colorful, from the royal gowns and suits to the performers' costumes glittering in the blazing sun, and the different troupe performances displayed the liveliness of youth. And underneath all of this action runs a soundtrack of music from the VI's most talented bands. The children's parade finished way before sunset, which was probably a good thing, because early the next day was the big highlight, the 2014 Carnival Adults Parade. A crowd gathered way before the parade began, securing the most rewarding vantage points. Grand Marshal Lubin Roberts rode proud at the head of the throng. Freshly crowned Carnival Queen Dejanique Navarro followed right behind, and then you have the original King and Queen of Carnival, crowned way back in 1952, who would not be missed in their castle float. But they too were not the only royalty. The Gypsies, the oldest troupe in the business, made an appearance. This year they're garbed as kings and queens, although with an edgy carnival twist. The Mokajumbis towered over the crowd, and different majorette troops showed off their prowess with the baton, including the Sebastian majorettes, who graced both the children's and adults' parades. From the sidelines, the crowd marveled at the elaborate costumes that were the products of months of work and planning, and the floats were a sight to behold. There were gigantic floats bedecked with decorations, and then you have the tiny entries, from the 5-man golf cart float of WUVI Radio to Chester Brady's one-man float covered in guitars. Of course, this feast for the eyes would not be complete without the music driving the action. Early on, reigning Calypso monarch Soldier Farrell performed his winning songs.
Yes, it's Millie. You want to hear the gossip going around? Yes, it's Millie. That's what I want you to sing.
And the various bands pumped up the crowd with the tunes of Carnival. The revelry continued well into the night, a fitting end to the biggest fete ever seen, Carnival 2014. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
And kudos to our Carnival committee, especially those who are deeply involved in organizing the children's and adults parades. Tune in to News 2 for the parade winners. We'll have them as soon as the results are finalized. Now, if you would like to see both the replay of the parades, you can do so by clicking on our live stream link that you can find on our News 2 page, or you can log on. The website is listed right there on the screen. You can also catch the recap of our News 2 Carnival special as we look back at some of the most memorable moments during the Carnival shows and events held during the season. That's also on our News 2 Facebook page and YouTube. Well, on Thursday morning from 4 in the morning to around 10, thousands of locals and tourists flocked to the streets of downtown St. Thomas to join the 2014 Juve. A huge crowd of revelers appeared to move like a single unit down the road. They paraded from the Adelita Cancrine area and began moving down Veterans Drive, following the trucks carrying their favorite bands and DJs, including DJ Avalanche, Spectrum Band, Poison, and Volume International. There was a diverse range of attires, but to say the least, many wore uniform yellow shirts with the slogan, "Keep Calm and Juve On," advocating a violence-free Juve. The increased presence of law enforcement officers also emphasized this message. Some residents commented that commented on the aspect of violence, the Juve celebrations were relatively uneventful. While Juve and the other Carnival events were relatively violence-free, there were a couple of crimes that rocked the St. Thomas community over the weekend, including a murder allegedly committed by a former VIPD police captain. News2's Erica Parsons has more.
St. Thomas investigators have their hands full trying to find out just what happened to a man who was found shot to death in his vehicle Thursday morning, several hours before Juve began, and they also had to arrest one of their own after his wife was suspiciously killed. This year's Carnival is being promoted as one of the safest ones for a long time when it comes to violence. Outside of several shootings that took place at the beginning of the main week, things were relatively quiet. Even Juve, that's been known to be shut down for violence, had only one stabbing incident. Police were also able to seize a loaded gun and make the arrest of a man dancing in Juve thanks to alert community members. But while revelers were partying at the end of last week, 2 people died. Police have arrested and charged former VIPD police captain Enrique Saldana with second-degree murder. Police say the 51-year-old Saldana called 911 Friday morning to report that his girlfriend wasn't breathing and he requested a police escort to the hospital. He initially told officers that he and his wife Jeanette McGrath Saldana were at Vesa Beach when she collapsed and stopped breathing. But ER technicians pronounced the wife dead and said she had been dead several hours prior to arriving at the hospital. She had also sustained multiple injuries to her body. Police detained Saldana for questioning and arrested him later the same day after he gave a statement. He was previously convicted in 2010 for extortion and bribery. Police are also looking for the person or persons responsible for shooting a man to death near gasworks in Bivoni. They say the victim, who appeared to be in his late 30s to early 40s, was found unresponsive and with multiple gunshot wounds in a tan Jeep Cherokee with the engine running. Now, Saldana hasn't been with the police force since his past troubles, and police haven't officially come out with a statement regarding these new charges, but he is also being charged with voluntary manslaughter and first and third degree assault. Reporting for News 2, I'm Erica Parsons.
Now, count on 2 to keep you updated. Police say they're waiting for the next of kin of the unidentified dead man to arrive in the VI before they release his name. But anyone who has information on any of these cases, you are urged to contact major crime detectives on St. Thomas or call Crime Stoppers. Meanwhile, police have issued a wanted poster for 29-year-old Trevor Clark, who they say is wanted for assault. The St. Croix native is also known as Blacka. He is 5'9", weighs 195 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. Officers say he frequents Frederickstead Town, Harborview, and Scion Farm areas. If you know the whereabouts of Trevor Clark, you are asked to contact the VIPD's Domestic Violence Unit at 712-6094, Emergency 911, or Crime Stoppers USVI at 1-800-222-TIPS. Keeping our eye on the economy, Target says CEO Greg Steinheffel is stepping down effective immediately. It comes nearly 5 months after the nation's third largest retailer disclosed a massive data breach. Hackers stole credit and debit card information from tens of millions of customers. Target's chief financial officer, John Mulligan, has been appointed interim president and CEO. Here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. The Dow, Nasdaq, S&P all up. The Dow 17, Nasdaq 14, S&P 3. Coming up on News 2, other news of the day, the Department of Human Services and the VIPD are searching for 2 missing teens. Can you help? Information on the 2 coming up next. And what a beautiful sight that was. That was the spectacular fireworks display on Saturday night around 9 p.m. that brought the 2014 Carnival season to a close. Many lined the waterfront to view the explosion of colors. Meanwhile, others took to the hills to get a different angle. Now, this shot was taken from Skyline Drive. The Department of Human Services and the VI Police Department are working together to return 2 minors to the VI Behavioral Services Boys Group Home where they reside. The boys ran away from the facility on April 30th at approximately 3:30 p.m. Kevon Benjamin is 16 years old, 5'8", and 158 pounds. He has a dark complexion with dark brown eyes. He was wearing a black t-shirt with black baseball shorts and white yellow and gray Air Jordan slippers. Now, Manuel Davis is 17 years old, Hispanic, 5'9", and 189 pounds. He has a light brown complexion with dark brown eyes. He was wearing a blue hat with a black shirt, black basketball shorts, and black Air Jordan slippers. Anyone who may know of Kevon Benjamin and Manuel Davis, whereabouts, or may have seen them, you're asked to contact the VIPD's Juvenile Bureau at 715-5541 or 778-2211. Crew members at the Coast Guard station in Miami Beach offloaded 2,058 pounds of marijuana worth an estimated wholesale value of $1.9 million at base Miami Beach on May 2nd. On April 23rd, during a patrol in the Caribbean, crew members from the Coast Guard cutter Dependable interdicted a go-fast vessel, took 4 suspected smugglers into custody, and discovered 48 bales of what later tested positive for marijuana. Upon arriving on the scene, the small boat law enforcement team boarded the vessel, took 4 suspected smugglers into custody. The Dependable is a 270-foot medium endurance cutter homeported in Cape May, New Jersey. Police Week is celebrated nationally every year as a way to honor police officers past and present who've made and continue to make sacrifices to serve their various communities. This year, Police Week is being celebrated from May 11th to the 17th. Locally, officers across the territory will mark the week with various events that include the annual Peace Officers Memorial, open houses at various police stations, a church service, competitive sports, a cook-off, dog show, and the annual law ride. And of course, we'll have some highlights. Now, the medical community also celebrates in May. May 6th through the 12th is National Nurses Week, while May 11th through the 17th is National Hospital Week. Wallowee Hospital will celebrate with a number of different activities to help promote nurses and medical professionals and the contributions they make daily. The celebration will kick off with a candlelight service on May 6th at the Cardiac Center at 6 p.m. The hospital will host educational sessions all day on May 7th and then offer a midnight breakfast between May 8th and 9th at the hospital's cafeteria. The whole family can get involved on May 10th for the Family Fun Day at the Cardiac Center's parking lot and then participate in the celebratory parade on May 12th. Service awards will be held May 14th, and the celebration will close out with a local reggae show. That's May 17th at Island Center. Cinco de Mayo is a holiday celebrating Mexican heritage. It commemorates the Mexican victory over the French at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862. Now, many around the world celebrate with margaritas, tequila, mariachi music, and Mexican cuisine. Here at the VI, we are very familiar with the Cinco de Mayo Chihuahua races. The 11th annual is going on right now at Fat Turtle. It began from 5. It's going on until 10 p.m. tonight. Music is by Flip Switch. Many contests, prizes, and giveaways. Now on St. Croix, Luncheria and Company Street has some live music as well. Now those are just 2 of many places you can join in on the celebration. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.